Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship and, Riverside. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Welcome to Riverside, Iowa, birthplace of James Tiberius Kirk. Now that is confirmed by Gene Roddenberry and comes off of the 4th movie, A Voyage Home, which involves Kirk saying that he's from Iowa. He just works in outer space. To take a step back, it all started with a little book called The Making of Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry. In it, he says Captain Kirk is born in Iowa. And I'm going to pause here for a minute because I want to show you the best part of the museum as we're walking in. Isn't that perfect? The only way that it could be better is if they were sliding doors. Well, we've walked inside the museum now, and we're looking at their gift shop section, and we'll be getting to the exhibits in just a minute. But I want to take a step back here to that booklet I mentioned, The Making of Star Trek, and how it said, Kirk is from Iowa. Well, a man named Steve Miller of Riverside was at a meeting where they were trying to come up with promotions for the town. They wanted more foot traffic, more people, more business, and to do that, they needed something that they could attach the name of Riverside to. And that's when Miller remembered that book. He said, well, Captain Kirk is born in Iowa. Couldn't he be born in Riverside? And so he wrote Gene Roddenberry and asked him about it, and he sent him a certificate that says Riverside is indeed officially the birthplace of Captain Kirk. Now that made such a hit that they added the line, my favorite line in all of Star Trek, when Captain Kirk says, no, I'm from Iowa. I only work in outer space. Interrupting myself again to explain the Birdman that's there. You see, there's a fundraising thing where an organization sponsors so many blanks, and then they have artists decorate them, and the people they are celebrating pays a fee, and then they sell them off at the end. It's been going along since the Cow Project in Chicago. The University of Iowa, just down the road from Riverside, did one with their mascot, Herky the Hawk. So Herky was painted with a Star Trek uniform, just like Captain Kirk. Then it got to be even a bigger deal because in the opening scene of the 2009 reboot, that whole little area where he steals the car and goes to the spaceport is all supposed to be in Riverside. Now, it's kind of ridiculous. I cannot imagine what kind of terrible thing would have had to happen to turn green cornrows into that desert scape that they have in the movie. But it does at least say it is in Riverside and that there is apparently a space dock here. They also went off of having him born in Riverside by changing their local Days event to a Star Trek Days event called Trekfest. And they've been doing that for 39 years now, especially since the casino opened up just outside of Riverside. And they have had money because casinos have to donate so much to local cultural areas, and this is one of the ones they have donated to. So they've had all sorts of people come that were on the original show. And they've done other things. This statue, for example, is a chainsaw statue, and they had it for years while they were trying to get the money raised to pay William Shatner enough to use his image. I think they eventually gave up and just used more of a generic figure because it doesn't really look anything like him. That spaceship we saw outside, the USS Riverside, used to feature heavily in their Trekfest parades, and they probably still do use it, but they also had a version of the original deck there, and they'd have people in outfits manning the different posts. What does the museum have? Well, actually, it has quite a bit, but it is sort of a unique thing because it isn't exactly sponsored by Star Trek. It's mostly done with local funds. Anyway, what do they have? They have a lot of what people would call memorabilia. They have photos and articles and things that are signed by the crew. They have a few props, as we've seen, both replica and real. They have costumes from the show. This, by the way, is Data's desk from Star Trek The Next Generation, and things that other people have donated to them. So they really have a fairly nice collection of Star Trek merchandise through the years, and a few things that were just related to Star Trek. And I think this is the deck that they had on their float. It looks like it. I think that's it. And there's all sorts of little toys, all sorts of little books, all sorts of information that if you're not a big Trek fan, you might not know. You can sit in the captain's chair for pictures, but it is definitely more of a here's my stuff type of collection rather than attempt to tell an orderly story with it. It is quite the collection. And they let you take pictures, so I was glad to be able to record this. It's going to be a little more unsteady than some of my videos because I had to record it on the iPhone because we just actually happened to be in Riverside, and my mom always remembered I wanted to go to this museum, so she said, let's just stop in Riverside and you can see the museum, which was nice, but I wasn't prepped for it. Shatner's last connection to Riverside came in 2004 when he supposedly came to the town to shoot a sci-fi movie. Instead, he shot Invasion, Iowa, which is a joke series about fooling the entire town into thinking he's making a movie and their reactions to the outrageous things they purposely did. It was not appreciated by a lot of people, and he made it up to the town by making a large donation, which I am sure they did appreciate. And in the end, they've mostly come out as pretty good sports about it. It was played on multiple channels, and you can find it under the name Invasion, Iowa. While we're looking at this memorabilia in the collection, I want to mention one other thing from the gift shop, which I think any Starfleet fan needs to have in their collection, and that is Kirk dirt. Yes, you can buy a small tube of dirt from Riverside, the very spot where Kirk was born. I think it's brilliant. I think it's one of the best memorabilia things I have ever seen, and you need some Kirk dirt. One of the really cool things about the display and a picture opportunity is to let you step onto a transporter and you can, well, pretend to beam yourself anywhere you like. The other part of the museum also serves as a county museum where we see just typical county museum stuff. Quite often, these typical county museums will have uniforms, a display about people serving in the military, things from the 1930s, quilts, clothes, cooking utensil, advertising memorabilia, just general stuff like that. And there's also a room of that here at the museum. So if you found out about Captain Kirk's birthplace, you can find out a little bit more about the town. And if we go across the street from the museum in the park, there stands their version of Captain Kirk. It looks like they gave up on trying to raise the money for Shatner, or maybe they decided by the time they got it, it would be better to go with the more generic figure, as multiple people were now playing the captain. And this is really a gorgeous statue. Our final little look around town, we're driving down Main Street, and you can see the banners they have on the side of the road advertising Trekfest with people from the original series on them. Now, where that Birthplace sign originally was, if we go just a little further along here, there's a row of businesses. And there was an empty spot between the businesses, and they'd put up a sign kind of like a little tombstone there, and it said Birthplace of Captain Kirk. And it has since been moved. I think maybe they filled in the space that it used to be at. I'm not entirely sure, but it's now apparently supposed to be by the town hall, and I never did find it, but it is also here somewhere in Riverside, and I think it's actually, as we turn the corner here, it's around on the far side of the building. So if we turn right up here, I think we will go by it. I hope you've enjoyed our trip to Riverside today, the birthplace of James Tiberius Kirk, and that you will set your transporter coordinates to Riverside sometime soon, because it is just one of Iowa's treasures. Remember to brighten the corner where you are and live long and prosper.